Welcome to the official Generation Oldschool YouTube channel. In this channel we post videos of old school cars and trucks. We meet with classic cars enthusiasts just like you to bring you the adventures you deserve. Not only we review each classic custom car in detail, but bring you the history and background of each vehicle. We also go on a street ride and test the vehicle's ability to perform above and beyond. If you like this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also follow us on social media at Generation Oldschool on Instagram.
Nice.
It's a cool bike.
Tell me a little bit about this bike.
This bike is one of our new bobber styles. It's a 2019. We call it cartoon bobber because it's made to look really small, real big wheel, everything compact. The bikes we've done in the past are all real long, 10, 11, 12 footers. Everybody loves them, but everyone's like intimidated by them. They don't think they can ride them, and they really can. So I had this idea in my head for 3 or 4 years, and I just always been so busy I never could do it. So I finally did one, and since SEMA in November I've sold over 12 rollers of these bikes and 4 complete bikes, and I think people can relate that they could just get on it and ride it every day, and full air ride, lay on the floor. Build them in all different varieties, from twin cams to Sportsters to Evo style motors, and you know, of course, always our Patina.
Very nice, man. Very nice. And this one is called the Gringo.
Yeah, it's called El Gringo for a reason. You know, when I do show up down in Miami, which is very rare, but when I do show up down there, all my Latin friends that have the Ratrods, they always say, "Oh, here comes El Gringo." The Gringo's a wild man. He's just pulling up. So I figured, what the hell, we'll put El Gringo on the side of it.
This is nice.
And the owner isn't an El Gringo either. He's
And you have another one inside.
yeah.
You want to bring that one out too?
Sure, I'll bring it out. This is another one of the cartoon bobbers that we do. Full air ride. Lays on the floor. This was built for a buddy of mine, Miguel, that works for the Florida Marlins. He it's like the 3rd or 4th bike I built for him. He's never even rode this bike, and we actually just sold it to a customer in California. And if you notice, I have the airbag suspension on the other side. That's a cantilever style that I designed myself. Most Softail style air rides on a motorcycle lay down underneath the transmission, and they're very slow system. I wanted something really fast. So all these bikes hold 200 psi air. They have their own air compressor, their own pressure switches, just like a car would. When it goes below a certain amount, the compressors kick on, air the tank back up. You can ride this thing 6-7 inches off the floor, or you could ride it a ½ inch off the floor.
Nice.
And I make them go up really high because you never know when you got to take it, you know, load it in a trailer, or if you're at a bike event, you got to park on the curb, whatever. You just raise the thing up in 4-wheel drive and go over and let it ride on the ground. As you can hear the compressor kick on. That's it. No kickstand needed.
That is so sick, man.
Yeah, I designed these. I've been doing this a long time, and then back right before the economy took a crap, my wife came home from work and said we were having another kid, and that didn't go over very well. I wish I could, if I could change the way I acted, I would, but unfortunately I can't. So I guess that's why my son is like my mini-me, because I sat in the shop when I had my shop, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to go to work for the first time in 20 years with someone, you know? And I had a Model A at the time, and I was looking at the Model A, and I'm like, shit, I need to build a two-wheeled version of this car. So I did. I built it in a week. Had a Honda, that one had a Honda motor in it, 750 Honda. I took it to Bike Night, right here local at Hooters. There was a guy that was on vacation here. He fell in love with it. He had to have it. He's like, what do you want for it? I was like, hell, I don't even know, man, you know, because it was just all scrap parts I had, you know. I'm like, 7,500? He's like, shit, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. He came and he bought it. I was like, damn, man, that might just be luck. So I went back. I had enough shit to build another one. I built another one. 2 weeks later, I went back to Bike Night, and the guy was there with my other bike, and he's like, well, you didn't tell me you had two. I'm like, well, I didn't. He's like, well, hell, my buddy's going crazy over this thing. You want to sell it? I'm like, sure. How much? I'm like, 12 grand. He's like, well, that one was 7. I was like, well, I guess they're getting popular, so 12. So he bought that one too. And I was like, damn, I'm onto something. And if it wasn't for the birth of my son, these bikes wouldn't even be around. So that was kind of cool. I mean, we've built bikes for all kinds of people, from, you know, royalty overseas, Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Formula One race car drivers, the king of Qatar. I built him 3 bikes. Sometimes the bikes get in the wrong people's hands, and they take my names off of them, and they put their own names on them, and they say that they built them, which kind of sucks. Just recently I opened up my parts line and my frames to a couple dealers, and in the States. Hopefully everything stays good, and they, you know, stay true to their word, and they don't, you know, stab me in the back. But hopefully right now everything's still going good, because they see that they, you know, there's a demand for them. Exactly. I don't want to make it mainstream, but I still want them to be one-off custom, you know. So I'm kind of, even with those guys that sell my parts, I'm like, let's kind of keep the reins a little tight, you know, because if you make it mainstream, after a while, it's like a bagger right now, you know. Everybody's got one on every corner, where, you know, I've pulled in with one of these bikes and parked right next to a $100,000 bagger, and not one person will look at that bike. They'll get so mad, and the guy will actually move his bike someplace else.
Todd, tell me a little bit about the trailer.
The trailer, this is the second one I've done. It's just full air ride, lay on the frame, kind of to match the truck. I've done another one where it's had its own management system, where like you could pull it with a normal truck if you wanted to as well, just to make life easier to load the bike and unload the bike. But for the most part, the guys that want the trailers, they want them to pull behind, you know, some type of a rat rod, and they want that ultimate setup.
Tell me a little bit more about the truck. Can we look at the engine? Yeah,
this truck is kind of, it's a rat rod. Where like Miami Life right now, it's in vogue to have a rat rod these days. Where I built this truck 10 years ago, maybe even a little longer. So there's not a whole lot of glamorous interiors, air conditionings.
Wait,
yeah.
I'll cut that point.
UPS. They never work on Saturday. So yeah, this truck wasn't made to like really have the glamorous inside and the AC and LS motors and all. I was getting ready to redo all that and make it more modern, but a gentleman offered me a pretty good amount of money for it, so I'm gonna let it go and be hard. Well, the interior had you know, the normal style seat and all that in it, and my background is racing, and I've always liked race style stuff, and I'm a big guy, and I just didn't like the way these trucks, you sit really up high and you're kind of crunched together. So I wanted a real low seat, so we sit down real low in it, and it make it give you a lot more leg room too. Yeah, I took this truck right out of J.W. Pyatt's farm. Literally, when I got this truck, it was buried halfway up in the dirt. And I was out there doing a calendar shoot for Yamaha. I built a bike for Yamaha for their calendar. And I had a couple days to spare, and I'm like, always hear, man, this is where these guys get all these old cars and stuff. So we drove around, and I found this guy's farm, and he had an F1 Ford out front. And I was like, I really don't want a Ford. He's like, oh, what do you want? I said, I'm a Chevy guy. He's like, dude, I own 1,500 acres here. He goes, go down these dirt roads, and wherever you see a truck is where it died. So I found this truck, and it was buried, and the guy was really nice. He went out there, we dug it out, and pulled it back to his farm. And he's like, you want it? And I was like, yeah. And I actually wound up buying two so that it would cover my shipping. I bought one, you know, I sold the one when I got it here.
Tell me a little bit about the air suspension and the setup that you have. You did that yourself?
Yeah, the air suspension, like I said, it's all old school, man. It's all SMT valves, where a lot of the older guys will know exactly what that is. It's all electric. SMT valves are pretty much foolproof. As you can see, they just sit out in the rain, they sit out in the weather. Never let me down. It's not all the fancy stuff you work on your phone, but it never let me down. The only thing's, the first time I put an air compressor on it yesterday in probably 8 years.
Show me the engine.
Engine is a 350 transmission. Believe it or not, it's out of one of my old stock cars from Hialeah Speedway. So it's been around the block a long time. And it's just, again, it's like the air ride system. It's just an old, reliable.
And this is your little shop. This is where you do everything.
Yeah, this is my little shop. Had a big shop back in the day before the economy took a crap, and was really mainstream. I've been doing it, oh man, I don't know, 16 years now. This is a Road King, full lay frame, no center stand, 34-inch front wheel, fiberglass bags and stuff, but as you can see, the rear fender, I didn't like the way it was because nobody makes them to lay on the floor. They always make them for center stands. So I modified the rear fender.
And what do we have over here?
Here's another cartoon bobber. This one's got a twin cam motor in it. Just like the El Gringo, modern motor out of a police bike, a 103. This one's going to be all flat black and raw, the raw finish, like the wheels, all machine look on it. This is going to a guy out in Arizona. His father had a big trucking company, and they had a lot of custom rigs, and they were all flat black and raw. So he wants this to, his dad passed away, he wants it to kind of resemble one of his dad's old semi trucks. It's going to have like a suicide shifter on it with a rubber ducky. That was from the movie Convoy from back in the day. His dad's trucks all had the rubber ducks on the hoods of the Kenworths.
And this is what you use for the
gap,
no?
This is when you mount the fender. We're getting ready to mount the fender here. You use a belt that gives you enough gap because the tires don't grow much. So it's just enough gap, and I like to keep the fenders as tight as possible. And the fender, this is a soft tail. A lot of guys mount the fender permanently to the frame, and when you air the bike up, you have a huge gap back here. I don't like that. I mount the fender, and the fender travels with the tire always, everywhere it goes. So you have a nice clean gap.
It's all about the details.
Yeah, I like to keep it that way. I mean, I'd rather have a gap in between the seat and the fender. When you ride it, you really won't see that gap too much, you know. And then when you park it, the fender touches the seat and you have all nice clean gap. There's a lot of work that goes into these. A lot of guys don't understand it, you know. Like, I mean, to build this frame, these are all separate pieces. There's a piece, this piece. So there's like 42 pieces to build one of these frames. And they're all laser cut on a laser table, and my buddy Derek from DC Roadsters in North Carolina cuts them for me.
And all these wheels, this is custom made.
Yeah, all the wheels are made. These wheels are made from SMT in Phoenix, Arizona. These wheels are made in Metal Sport, California. And then I have another guy that makes me just one-off wheels for like my SEMA projects and stuff like that.
And over here we'll see that you're also working on another one.
Yeah, this is going to be my SEMA bike for 2019, one of two. We're going to bring two this year. This will be in Heat Shield Products booth. They're a sponsor of mine. They do all the thermal wraps, header wrap, stuff like that, turbo wraps for a lot of the Street Outlaws guys and stuff. And we've been fortunate enough to be invited to SEMA now. This will be our 8th year.
And you were telling me earlier that this bike used to be a police bike.
Yes, at one point it was a police bike. And basically with this bike we just cut the frame from right where the swing arm mounts right here and right at the bottom down here, and then So basically the engine cradle is the only thing left stock other than the swing arm. And then everything from there up is all fabricated.
Tell me a little bit about the wheels.
The wheels, that's a 57 Cadillac hubcap. As you can see, there's no bolts to hold the wheel hub on. The hub is actually goes machined all the way to here. From here to here is the hub, and it's bolted inside of here. And you slide the hub over it, so it gives it a clean look. I'm just a big Cadillac guy. I've always liked Cadillacs. That's what gives the name Ratrod on there. All the trim on this bike is going to be all 57 Cadillac. We have trim here that goes on here, and it's off of a 57 Cadillac. That goes on here like this. There's just little touches. This is a new style front end. As you notice, this is not like the other front ends. Our other front ends, the shocks are in the front, and the shock pushes down. This is kind of like a cantilever system. The shock pushes from the back. It pushes these arms down, and it raises it up. This is the only front end like that. Little things like the motor mount is an adjustable wrench on here. I like the fact that like some of the bikes got a lot of gadgets, and like a guy will bring it to a bike night, and then he'll go to that bike night three or 4 weeks later, and some people will say, oh, did you add this, you added that, and they just missed the details from the beginning. So it keeps people looking and stuff.
And you were telling me that you are a Cadillac fan, so I can see that over there in your driveway you have your Cadillac. Can we take a look at it?
Sure, yeah. It's the 65. I bought it from the original owner in Tennessee. It's got all original paint on it, except for the roof. The roof was done by David at DZ. It's been sitting a while, so it's a little dirty. But as you can tell, it's got mob steels on it. Lays completely on the pinch on the rocker when it's parked. That's ride height right there. Everybody asks me all the time because they know that I'm into the patina thing. So they're, how did you do the paint like that? How did you get the paint to crack and everything? And I'm like, I didn't get the paint to do anything really. That's all lacquer paint from back in the 60s. That's what happens to lacquer after a while. And when I graduated high school, I worked at one of the biggest car customizers in Miami, which was Rolly Fernandez at Miami Customs. And we used to use lacquer paints back then, so I know what lacquer does. And but a lot of the modern people don't know. And I don't know. I think it looks cool. I don't want to paint it.
The roof came out sick.
Yeah,
that roof came out really nice.
That's the third time we did it. We did it gray the first time, and it had a vinyl top on it, and it had a chemical reaction, and the paint was getting all messed up, so we stripped it down, and the original roof was like a dark gray vinyl. So the gray, I was kind of like, I said, let's do something crazy. Let's just go red.
Can we take a look at the interior?
Yeah, the interior is all original, all stock. Nothing's been touched. It's got 50,000 miles. The only rip is the seat.
No way, man.
Really? Dashboard's in perfect condition. Everything works. Ice cold AC, everything. I've been a Lincoln and a Cadillac guy my entire life. My dad passed away when I was young, like 10 or 11 years old, and my uncles kind of stepped up to the plate and helped me. And I remember them taking me to school, and they all either had 60s Lincoln Continentals or 60s Cadillacs, and it's just stuck in my mind. And I've just always been a Caddy or a Lincoln guy. I had a Lincoln before this, but I don't think I'd ever get another Lincoln. It would always be a Cadillac. And
if you ever want to sell it, hit me up.
I get people all the time that stop and want to buy the thing, and they're like, you know. But it lays out right on the floor.
Nice.
So it gets down there.
And this one runs good.
I drive it all the time.
Engine is original.
All original.
Nice.
Only a couple little tiny little rust spots down there, and that's it. And that didn't happen until I brought it to South Florida.
This truck is beautiful, the trailer is sick, the bikes, I have no words to describe them. The Cadillac, man, you do an amazing job. Can we take this thing for a quick ride?
Yeah, we can take it for a ride. Before we freaking...
Man, we're sitting low.
Yeah, dude, you're sitting low with this thing. Legroom though.
Yeah, you do.
You know, I should have had some like cool cushions made for it, you know. Maybe on the next one. Right, nice, dude. You gotta think about it, this whole thing's been together probably 11 years with no updates at all in any way, shape, or form. Just driving the shit out of it. I mean, ride's fucking, I mean, smooth as can be, dude.
Let me tell you, these seats are comfortable.
They're not bad.
No, they're not bad.
Once you get on the road though, about a half hour or so, and that heat starts coming up, the motor in this thing's probably from the 90s. So, you know, it needs a little bit of fucking love, and so I'm at the point, do I sink a couple, you know, $5,000–6,000 in it, or I just fucking upgrade, you know?
Yeah. Alright guys, this video is over. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know with a like. Also, if you guys are new, subscribe, and please go show some love to After Hours Bikes. He's an amazing guy, building great stuff out of his own garage, and that is something that I give him props, because that's something that not everybody can do. Again, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow us on social media at Generation Old School. See you guys on my next video. Adios.